We work really closely with Ori, especially when we're getting close to having a Kickstarter. With COVID, we do a lot of video shooting ourselves, and we are not experts by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
It's actually like I have to admit that I'm wearing this dress in the Kickstarter video, and this is my set. We shot yesterday. We have to shoot today, so I had to, put it on for the video shooting. So what I'm saying there is we end up doing a lot of reshoots, and Ori gives us feedback and tips. He's actually a filmmaker, by trade. So he went to film school. Ori Kagan. He runs Kagan Productions. I'll add him to the stream so we can all see him.
Here's Ori.
Here's Ori.
Hey, Ori.
Hi.
Ori is an active member of the Star Realms community, which is why I thought he'd make a great guest. And he is a video production expert, which nowadays all of us are creating videos, right? Like for our personal social media, people want to do TikTok. They want to do a lot of different things. So I thought this was a topic that would be of interest to a lot of people. We personally work with Ori. He does our video intros for StreamYard. He does videos that I need for ads and for, other marketing purposes. And the biggest thing that we work with him on is our Kickstarter videos. He is a filmmaker, but he is very specialized in animation. And so, for example, on the Kapow Kickstarter, he animated the entire game. It looked awesome. But Ori actually went to film school. So Ori, can you tell us a little, he lives in Israel. He went to Tel Aviv University. Can you tell us a little bit about going to film school? What did you learn from there that you could share with us so we could be better filmmakers?
First of all, thank you very much. I'm really, really honored to be here. I wanted to give out a shout out to Paul Wakin. He's one of my teammates from my first Star Realms group tournaments. We had a team called Team Cleric, him, Trey, and Xenos. So yeah, he's one of the original guys. So wanted to give him a shout out.
He's on here.
We got pretty close. I think we got second place there. It was pretty good. Anyway, film school. Yeah, so I always wanted to be a filmmaker, so it felt like the natural step to do after my Army service. So I didn't learn there how to animate. Or like you said, I started out as a filmmaker more on the editing side. So the technical skills Tel Aviv University didn't really give me. It was sort of things I had to learn myself. But the thing I feel like I really learned there is how to tell a story. Okay, how drama works, how to develop characters. And even though Kickstarter videos aren't really films or stories, they are. Okay, you still need to tell a story. You need to bring the viewer into the world, and you have the characters, and you want the viewer to feel something. So I feel like the university studies really helped me learn the core of that, and that's the base which everything else is built on. The beats, the drama, the emotional arcs. So I don't think that would have been so strong if I've not gone to film school. And, it's university, so I had a chance to learn some philosophy or other things like that, which is also nice.
So we first heard about Ori, actually not from Kickstarter videos, but because oftentimes on Kickstarters, it doesn't actually say who did the video, which was why I was like, let's have Ori on here so we can talk about the awesome work that he does. But I actually heard about it from our team members.
Yeah, we saw this. So one in the fan community, this awesome, hilarious video got posted, Scouts versus Vipers. I think I fell off the chair laughing when
we watched it over and over. Saffron post the link below.
So Ori, tell us about that. Was that just you were just having fun? Like how did that Scouts versus Vipers come about?
And Dusto wants to know when the next chapter.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, Scouts versus Vipers. I always thought that it was something. I felt like Star Realms was very memeable. Okay, it has all these ships, and I always wondered how come no one has done that yet. And I kept trying to put time to do this because I thought it would just be a lot of fun. And I always wanted to see the ships, you know, right there was the intro with the ships firing and the explosions. That's what I really wanted to do. And then I've always been a fan of Red vs. Blue, by Rooster Teeth, if you know that. So you can see it's pretty implied in the name. So I always wanted to see how would that look like in Star Realms. And to be totally honest, I don't know if you remember this. I wanted you to notice me a little. I've been doing like the Kickstarter videos, and you know, I was like, I gotta do videos for White Wizard Games. I mean, back then you were White Wizard Games, so I said, let's try to do this. You know, do it with my time. Maybe it'll work. If not, I'll have a good time. So I got actually community members to do the voices. Sam Hill.
That part was really fun. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, Elizabeth Solomon and Paul Solomon all lended their voices to voice the characters, and they each had, like, you know, their part in the community, and they really, you know, I really try to typecast, you know, the Viper, the Scout, and the Freighter. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I wrote the outline. I have a friend which is very good with dialogue, so he helped me out with the dialogue, which is something I'm not as good as. And yeah, we just sort of went with it, and then we did the second one because we really enjoyed the first. The funny thing is, the first thing Debbie wrote me was, "Please put the graphic that we allowed this to happen in the beginning." So I was like, yay, that's something. And I think the part that really blew me away was turning on the app. You know, I play the app all the time. Even now I have like 15 games running. So I turn on the app and you have the ads in the beginning. And the Scouts vs. Viper logo appeared. I was like, what?
Yeah, we put a link in the app for a little while. That was awesome. We gotta
get this everywhere. This is so. And you asked, why didn't anyone create this before? I mean, I think the answer is obvious as well. We don't have your skills, you know. I mean, it seems like it takes a lot, and it'd be really hard. I mean, is this the kind of thing that you think is pretty easy for someone to learn? Like, what's your take on that? I mean,
well, like I said, all of my animation related skills are self-taught, and with the technology we have nowadays, literally anyone could go to YouTube and load up a tutorial for whatever he wants to do. It's actually oh, thanks, Dusto. Now I'm going to be flooded with challenges.
Yes.
So, you know, I just started actually doing tutorials myself. I posted last week a tutorial for Blender because it's so it's very easy to just download these programs. You know, not all of them are free, but Blender, for example, is for free. And there's all sort of other solutions. And you literally type what you want to do, and most of the times you'll have an answer. And I wanted to give back. I mean, working with the board game community for the past 2.5 years has been a joy. Okay, it's the best clients I could ever imagine. Everything is just fun. It's what I always wanted to do. It's making movies in some sort of way with the storytelling and the crazy worlds. One board game is a zombie world, and another one is space, and the other one is fantasy, and one of them is, you know, I have a game which is just pockets, you know, live pockets. It could be anything. And each one has its own unique challenges. And I wanted to give back to this community. So I started creating specifically oriented to board game related issues with Blender. And the first tutorial that I made was how to just make the board game box. And yeah, I seem to have got a really positive response for that. Hopefully I'll do more. Cards, full layouts, maybe even animations, and just to give people like the basic skills that are just out there. You know, just go and get it done.
One of the really exciting things for me about working with you on Kickstarter videos is as a member of the community, I know you get it as far as the underlying thing that we're trying to do, the game, what the games are about that we're bringing to people. And so I think it's helped so much to have someone who sort of understands what's going on behind the scenes, what the games are about, enjoys them personally and wants to sort of convey that to the viewers.
So you're asking how do I put all that together in the video?
Yeah, I was just sort of rambling about how awesome that is, but
I think it also plays into, you were talking about storytelling, and I think in the Scouts versus Viper videos, you are telling a story. So Rob was just saying it's great that our community so that you can tell our story better, and that's super helpful. And other board games as well.
Star Realms specifically has a very special place in my heart because that's the game that got my wife into board gaming.
Yes.
So, this hobby wouldn't have happened if I haven't had my better half, also into it. And, we used to play a lot, and then the kids came, so we played a little less, but we still managed to sneak. Star Realms is the perfect game to play when you have kids, because it's not long. There's not tons of components which they can destroy. And when they grow up, my son is now 4, they start to get it. There's the numbers and who made the simplified version? I don't remember. One of the community members made a simplified version of Star Realms, which you could play with kids, which is more, there's no all the special abilities. It's mostly just the numbers. And we started playing that with him, and he gets it. It's a way to teach math and very, very basic gaming strategy. So it's like part of my family now. So yeah, I've ever since Star Realms, I've backed every single thing from White Wizard Games because I know it'll have that core mechanic which I love.
Yeah, and one of the playing with kids is awesome. Like my kids,
Morgan Tyson made the simplified Star Realms. Yeah. That's so.
Around 7 years old is when they could really play sort of full Star Realms, with me. And
Rob does not let the children win, so they might be 10 years old by the time they win.
But they get very excited when that first win finally does happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you have some recommendations here from Paul on, maybe the next chapter, like Matt the Cutter could play himself as a commander.
So regarding the future episodes, so, the good thing about it is I've been so busy, which means, the business has been going really well. And I usually did those during my downtime. But yeah, I have episodes 3, 4, and 5 written. Okay, 3 has a script. I just need to find the time, get the gang together, and really record it. And just make myself the time to do this, because I found a very fast workflow now that I have, the first and second animated. So most of the assets are there. Plus, I have now secret access to the actual game assets.
Yeah.
So I don't actually have to cut out the ships manually, because you can give me the layered file. So that I hope. So
yeah.
So that would definitely make things much easier. So they are written. I'm definitely more. I have. I'm probably going to do it very soon because all of this feedback is fantastic. So yeah, I owe it to the community.
Yeah, I think so. So one thing I know that I really like in working with you is you basically have a plan of how the different components that you need to make an awesome video, and you walk us through it, and you're like, okay, we need to do this, we need this, we need that. Could you share a little bit with our community here on how you think about the video production process, and how they might be able to think about it when they're working on videos?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know. I like to think about my workflow as more holistic than having a strict plan of you need to do this and this and this. I mean, I think the greatest example is the project we're working on now for Robot Quest, which is completely wild compared to anything we've done so far. because I don't know if anyone knows this, but we have an animation that we got from Perfect Day, and we actually got a rap singer and a sound designer to do the music, and we're creating a sort of a rap, literal rap to go with the video, which is, you know,
which is really fun.
It's really fun. I love doing new things, and it's something I've never done before. I've worked, the sound guy is Tal Steinberg. He's local and he's amazing. And so, you know, it's a new challenge. We figured out the pieces and we're putting it together. And yeah, it sounds great. I actually send you the latest version. You haven't listened yet.
We didn't listen to it yet, Rob.
Yeah, I'd love to know you here. And yeah, so each project is different, like I said before. So we figure out what makes you, it's all about emotion. And especially with Kickstarter videos where, you know, backers, you need to catch them in the first 5 seconds. So each time you want to make something which excites them. And it always comes from the creator. I always ask the creators, what excites you the most about your game? Okay, you don't need to give the layout of the rules. You don't need to explain. You don't need to say that it's fun. You don't need to say that it's easy to learn, hard to master. You just need to show the fun, you know, show, don't tell. And when they start, you know, I get them to talk about the game and gush about what makes it exciting. Then I get those little points which we want to focus on in the video. And then, you know, the fun thing about also board games that you already have all this amazing art, which I can use. I don't need to create anything. I'm an animator, but I'm not an artist. Okay. I don't create my own assets. If I need to, I have other artists that help me with that. But with board games, everything exists. And I take every single thing I think is cool and I work with it. You know, with Kapow, we took the characters, we animated them and added all the super effects around. And then we did the 3D layout of the board game. And I felt like we gave the dice superpowers because the dice, every time they fell on the floor, like the whole screen shook and it made everything like really epic and stuff like that. And that's really the vibe of the game itself. When you play the game and you gather more and more dice and you chuck them all at once and it sort of explodes and you go, wow, I got all this combos. And so sort of try to meld them together. And if you want to get to the technical side, then we have, first of all, the script that we write down. And usually you want to do voiceover unless it's really not warranted. You have a voiceover track and you find the music. And I like to animate on a soundtrack already because then I know the energy that we're going into it. And I can spend hours on looking for the right music track for each one. I mean, we're literally making one for this video because it's so important.
Yeah, sound is so important. It's something that maybe people who are coming to it fresh don't realize. And that's, you know, like you're always great at finding the right sound.
Yes.
And not just music, but sound effects also.
Yeah. Sound effects as well, which is also really important. Unfortunately, most people that I think it's most people will start watching the video without the sound. And then if it gauges their interest, they might turn it on. Also, something which I've been really trying to make sure I do is adding subtitles, okay, for also the people that don't turn on the sound, but also for hearing impaired. That's very important. Maybe I should add like descriptions of the actual sounds that are happening. I don't know. It depends on the video. Yeah, but then we start animating. I create sort of a very rough storyboard, or if it's a 3D video, I create the location. But I tend not to create the whole thing. I don't plan out the entire video. This is exactly what's going to be here, because, you know, I've done some films as live action. You never want to shut off the part which wants to experiment, which wants to say, okay, let's get the shot from here. Let's try something interesting. And thankfully with 3D, you can literally do that. You can find your shots and try something interesting which you haven't thought of before. In the Kapow video, there is this one shot which sort of tracks with the dice as they fly through the air. And that's something I haven't thought about at all until I reached that point of the video. And thankfully, most of my clients were totally on board with me to go on this experimental journey. So it's been just so fun, and that's why I wanted to do this, because it's what I enjoy.
And I think at this point you've like built up a bunch of enough trust with people. They can see your stuff and know, okay, yeah, if Ori does our video, it's gonna look really cool. So yeah, run with it a little bit.
We're like, Ori, we trust you. Go do
Make it awesome.
I had a question for you about the sound. I don't know if you, and I know you work with sound experts, so I was curious if you had any resources that you'd recommend to people when they're looking for sound, because a lot of people, especially like newer game designers or indie game designers, are making their own videos. And like, where do you go to find good sound? And on your comment on voiceover, I highly recommend people hire, voiceover talent, because I've definitely watched some Kickstarter videos and been like, oh, wow, this video would have been like way better if they had a professional voiceover. I mean, some people can do a voiceover themselves, but do you have any recommendations on finding voiceover talent? I know these kind of questions get asked a lot in some of the groups I belong to.
So I think we talked about this. Fiverr, okay, is something that's tend to look down on, okay, and I cannot recommend it enough. Fiverr has excellent voiceover options. Most of the people there are very kind, and you can like immediately figure out through reviews and chatting a little before you order. Okay, always chat with the person, figure them out. Okay, when we were looking for the rap singer, I talked to a few people, and the one person that engaged with me and got excited on the project and asked questions, I realized, okay, this is the guy. And he's been amazing. He's been very receptive to feedback. And as you will hear, he did an amazing job. Specifically for sound related, so I could recommend Tal Steinberg. He'll gladly take on projects if you're looking for professional sound design. We did a whole series of fully animated videos for a game called Legions of Steel, which we decided, that's like one of my crazy ideas. Let's just make a full 3D video. And it's a miniature games with soldiers. So we did a full series about it. They actually have a Kickstarter now for some of their minis, if you want to check it out, Legions of Steel. Other than that, there's a lot of free resources, okay? A lot of free resources for music. There is the YouTube Music Library, and it's always worth to do a little bit of that effort for the Kickstarter video, especially if you want to really get it up there. So find good stock music. There's tons and tons and tons out there. Google is your friend.
Okay, great. And if anyone has any questions, you can post questions in the chat. And Ori, where can people see your videos and check out the work that you've done, and that the Blender tutorial as well? Where do they find that? Okay, so there is the main website, which is Kagan Productions. Kagan Productions. Every time I show someone my logo, I look him in the eyes to see if they got the joke, because I'm a dad. I'm allowed to tell those kinds of jokes. And there's a duck. And there's the Instagram page, which is also Kagan Productions, which I post not only my videos, I also post like just renders and behind the scenes stuff and just whatever cool thing I'm working on. And there's the Facebook page, again, Kagan Productions. If you search online on Facebook, I post all my stuff there. Awesome. Any last thoughts on tips for people on video production? And we don't have any other specific questions. Well, we do have some, but they're about other topics, which we'll get to after we're done with talking with. I have one last one. A video, as much as I would love to make anyone's video and for sure, videos, as long as they have heart in them, that engages audience. And I want to point out an amazing campaign which came out like a few months ago, Cora Quest. Which that was cool. Had a dad and his daughter talking to the camera. And you would think, oh, they didn't put in the effort. No, they did. They did, and it just shone out of them. It was an insta-back for me because it had heart, it was amazing, it told a story.
and it showed their dynamics, and it was real. So yeah, you do want to.
I also love Core Quest.
Yeah.
You need to show your heart is in your game, and that's how you gain trust. Okay, the more, if you see the video and it has amazing production values, that also gains your backers' trust because they know you put this effort into the video. But the moment they see that something is fake or not there, or your heart isn't in there, or it's a little cold, then they'll get cold feet. The moment your heart and your passion is showing, that's when then people connect to you. That's what I think about life in general, actually.
Yeah. So a very important question for you. Did you play last week's Star Realms Arena, and what did you think of it if you did?
I did, and this is the funny thing. I started the game, and at that moment, Debbie wanted to get on a call. So you called me, and I have the game running. And
You're welcome, Ori's opponent.
I'm sort of figuring this out. I'm like, okay, and I can usually multitask a regular Star Realms game. Okay, a regular game I can, but it had the missions and it had that weird scenario, and I was like, okay, concede, and I never concede. That was like a huge exception, and I did for you guys.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ori.
It's been amazing. Thanks so much. I mean, you guys are the greatest.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't seen them, we put up the Scouts versus Vipers link. You should check that out. And if you want to find any of Ori's stuff, we've got his links up as well. Yeah,
the links are posted in the chat. So, thank you very much, Ori. It was awesome having you. And, it was great.